So welcome back. We have a great topic today.
We do.
When to get in the game.
Yes, this is a topic that is coming up so often right now.
Timing the market
Yeah.
when you're playing sports.
Yeah.
Timing into when to get in the game. We were just talking about, you wait too long, you kind of miss your opportunity. So, for example, in baseball, if you're up to bat, that perfect pitch might not come. So you got to protect the plate. You got to swing at anything close. You don't want to get a strikeout not swinging and looking at the ball. You got to be aggressive. And, if you're waiting on the sidelines to get in the game and because you're waiting for the perfect opportunity to throw the ball or make the touchdown, the perfect opportunity might not come.
Yeah.
And so it's all about timing.
Absolutely. And so right now we're experiencing an interesting market because interest rates have risen pretty dramatically over the last couple of years, right? So a couple of years ago, we were looking at interest rates in the 2s. And people have short-term memories, and people look at today's interest rates in the 6s, sometimes even in the 7s, and they think, gosh, interest rates are so high.
Yep.
Maybe I should wait. We get it all the time. I get it all the time. It's a question that comes up literally almost daily. And I think there's a couple important things to remember. One, interest rates are really not high.
No.
They're actually more normal if you look at, long-term history, not just short-term history. Interest rates in the 5s, 6s, 7s is a pretty normal market. Mm-hmm. And so then we have to look beyond that. And, home prices is an important aspect of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And as rates go up, which they're going to do in any market. And
Absolutely.
If you look at history, as Danielle was saying, if you look at history, rates have gone up and they've gone down and they've gone up and they've gone down.
It's a cycle.
And comparatively speaking, if we're talking about in 1982, 83, the rates were at 17, 18, 19, 20%. And you know what? People were still buying.
Yep. People were absolutely still buying. And you have to look at what does that do to the market. And the reality is that as interest rates rise, you will take away some of the buyers in the market. Now, Some of them will not be able to buy. That's a harsh reality. They will no longer be able to qualify. They will no longer be able to afford their monthly payment, and they will be forced out of the market. So you have less buyers in the market.
Less competition.
Now, if we go back to 2021 when interest rates were in the 2s, I'm sure you experienced this at a far greater degree than we did on the mortgage side, but it was absolutely insane.
It was crazy. And you had, we would go in as a buyer, you would find a house you love and you'd be competing against 10, 12, 16 offers.
Sometimes more. I had ones that had 30, 40, 50 bids on them.
It was crazy
Yeah.
when the rates were so low and how much competition there was out there.
And so if you were a buyer that was putting, a minimum down payment of 3.5%, good luck getting your offer accepted.
If you were contingent,
oh my God,
you couldn't.
Shot. Zero shot. Literally no shot. No shot.
No.
If you didn't have cash in the bank to make up any kind of appraisal deficiency.
Yeah.
So we were seeing the market appreciate so fast because of the heavy competition
Yep.
that what people had to bid to win the deal was more than the house was worth. And if you didn't have the money to make up that difference, you were not going to get your offer accepted.
No.
And it was a really unfair advantage to, our first-time home buyers and our clients who have smaller down payments, who didn't have a huge house to sell, who could afford to sell first and all those kind of things. And we were seeing people have to waive a lot of their rights.
Yeah. And you had to make a decision. You would go in, see a house for, 10, 15
seconds,
minutes.
yeah.
It was so quick. And it's like, okay, do you want to make an offer? Because if we're writing an offer, we're writing it right now.
No time to think. And you have to waive everything.
Yeah. And we were also seeing a little bit of buyer's remorse. People would get into this house. It was already pending. So there was no backing out. Right. And it's like, what did I just do? Did I make the right decision? Yeah. But you didn't really have the time to decide if this was the perfect house for you. You had to make it right away. And people felt, a little pushed.
Yeah. Absolutely. And so that's what happens when you have interest rates in the 2s, right? Is everybody comes off the sidelines and wants to play in the game. And now all of a sudden you have everyone fighting for the same place. And it was absolute madness. And so now that interest rates are a little bit higher, we're seeing the market shift a little bit. Now we're in a market that's still pretty competitive.
Right. North of San Francisco in the Marin Bay area, we are still seeing limited inventory. And because of the limited inventory, we're seeing, and the over amount of buyers, we are seeing home prices pretty stable.
Right. Stable, but not quite as crazy as the last couple of years.
Yes.
And so, you get this advantage in that market in that you don't have to go in and necessarily overbid by hundreds of thousands of dollars. True story. In that rush of 2021, I had a client who bid $1 million over asking price.
Oh my gosh.
$1 million.
Did they get the house?
They did get the house. They waived everything. They had absolutely, it was crazy. But they were not even that far above the next runner-up.
I know. It's so crazy.
I mean,
it's
it was
so
nuts.
crazy.
It was absolutely nuts.
Right. So if you're talking about timing the market, is that a better time to buy when rates are low and there's a lot of competition and prices are flying through the roof?
Yeah.
Or is it a better time to purchase right now while rates are, historically speaking, still low?
Average. Yeah. Very average.
And home prices aren't through the roof.
Right.
I would make the argument that right now is a better time to buy than it was a few years ago.
Yeah. And so I kind of look at it as, what's your motive in buying? Mm-hmm. If you need a place to live, well, now is always a good time because the alternative is you rent and, then you don't have the ownership aspect of it. So if you want to buy a home and you can afford the monthly payment at what they are today, I tend to think that now is a great time to buy. There's the advantage that you're going in without all of the extra competition. Mm-hmm. And people need to remember that interest rates are a cycle. They will drop again. Absolutely.
And when they drop, you can refinance.
Absolutely. So your loan is not forever, but the house price that you purchase is. That's a one-time thing. So if you can get into home prices while they're still relatively low, while there's less competition, while you're not, having to waive all of your rights, and you can really do the research to find a home that you love and that meets all of your needs, and you can afford the payment, why not buy today, take advantage of the less competition, and then look at refinancing your loan in the future. We have very good data that suggests that in the next, 12 to 24 months, we will see lower interest rates.
Yeah, I completely agree. Being on the offensive right now versus the defensive is where I think both of us agree where our clients need to be. I had a situation a couple weeks ago on a team that I coach that a little boy went to him and said, "Hey, I want you to start in this game." And his response was, "I would rather not start." And when I said, "Well, why not?" And his response was, we're playing a really good team. And I like to watch the other team and get a feel for how they are. And then I'll go in. And actually it makes sense. I get it. It's a strategy.
Totally.
And it's very similar to right now what people are doing. It's, I don't want to buy right now because rates are too high. I want to wait and see what happens.
Yeah.
But in doing so and not being on the offensive, not being aggressive, you're going to miss the boat.
Absolutely.
You're going to miss the boat because when rates do trickle down, as you were just saying.
Yeah. Guess how many other people are waiting.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're going to have more competition. The home prices are going to go through the roof again. Right. And you're back in the situation that you were in a couple years ago.
Right.
You're better off.
That's a better move, right?
100%.
Paying more for the house or paying less for the house, knowing that you can redo your loan in the future.
Right.
Right. And so if you need a place to live, I think that it's always good timing as long as you can afford the mortgage payment today. Now, if you're looking at investment property, the calculation is a little bit different.
A little bit different, yep.
Right? I mean, an investment property is all about cash flow. We're in a very unique situation in that rents are also high. And so even at today's interest rates, even with, prices still in high demand, you can still make properties make sense from an investment standpoint.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
As long as the numbers make sense, same philosophy goes, you can change your loan in the future.
Because if you look back over time, think about, just take Marin County, the Bay Area, for example. Yeah. If you look back over time, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, right? When people bought back in 83, when the rates were 19, 20, the home prices, we were just talking to somebody the other day, their parents bought a house in Sausalito and it was $23,000. Oh. And crazy, right?
Who wants to know what that one's worth today?
Right, a couple million.
Yeah.
So my point being is that over time, your house will appreciate.
Yeah.
Whether, even if the rate is high, you refinance in the future, that house is always going to appreciate in this area. Now, every area is different.
Totally.
But in our area, in Marin County, in the Bay Area, in Sonoma County, over time, the housing prices have always gone up. They might dip a little bit here and there.
Momentarily, right? And even that, I would urge people to look at the data, right? So, we did get people who had that philosophy. They looked at 2021 home prices where things were going, 20% over asking price and out of control. We were seeing huge appreciation. Now, have prices dipped a little bit since then? Perhaps. Mm-hmm. But if you go back a few years, the trend is still actually in line.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you kind of have this momentarily blip up in the data where things got a little bit out of control. It's dipped a little bit since then, but it's still on an upward trend. And when you look at statistics, we can predict that market appreciation in this area will still increase in the single digits.
Right,
and there
absolutely.
is huge wealth that you can create for your family with single digit appreciation.
Yeah, and let's talk about, the millennials, Generation X that's coming up right now.
Yeah.
A lot of, and this has to do with COVID too, but a lot of millennials move back in with their parents.
Yeah.
With their family members. And so now we have this almost like a bubble.
That's coming.
It's coming.
Looming. Mm-hmm. I mean, you have this group of 30-somethings that have good jobs, and they've either been living at home or they've been living, with other millennials, right? A lot of them cohabitate in single housing, and all of a sudden they are facing their next chapters of their lives, right? They're getting married, they're having kids, they want their independence. It's time to get out of mom and dad's granny unit.
Yeah.
That's going to produce a demand on housing.
And honestly, I'm already seeing a lot of that. I'm seeing a lot of those buyers that are now wanting to purchase a house.
Right.
And it's a huge generation. Yeah. And so, get ahead of that.
Absolutely.
Buy right now. Get that investment, get that property, make it an investment. It does not, and this is what I tell the people. A lot of people, first-time home buyers, for example, come to me and they want to buy that forever home.
Yeah.
They want to buy the forever home. And they want,
right?
and their list of what they want is, this, that, this, that, this, that, this, that. So, okay, let's take a step back. The average buyer sells their house in 3 to 5 years, right? So buy that stepping stone property right now.
Absolutely.
Don't wait. Don't watch the other team and sit on the sideline and wait for the perfect play.
Yeah.
Get in there, buy that stepping stone property. It might not be the forever home, might not be the perfect home.
Right.
But use that as a stepping stone to get some money.
Absolutely.
As an investment.
I bought my first house at 20 years old. It had an avocado kitchen and pink bathrooms. I'm talking pink toilet, pink tub, pink wallpaper. I think it had pink gold fleck wallpaper.
And even that probably appreciated.
Carpeting. So seriously, right? It was not my dream house. It was a nice house, but I've never really sought out avocado for my appliances.
You didn't?
No, it wasn't on my dream list. But it was a good, solid house. I bought it for $365,000. I sold it almost exactly 2 years to the day for $565,000.
Yeah, over
as a 20-year-old who made a chance at buying real estate.
Over $100,000 a year.
Yeah,
you made on that property.
Crazy, right?
Yeah, and I will tell you that's what we're seeing.
Absolutely.
When I'm looking at what homes are worth right now.
Yeah.
When people bought in 2017, so 6 years ago, they're up almost $600,000. Like that's kind of the area of where people are offering at purchase price wise right now.
So if I could go to these 20-something, young kids, I would say absolutely invest in real estate. I mean, look at what you can do as a stepping stone to your future wealth.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what that would do if you started at 20 and did that every couple of years?
Yeah. And also with the stock market being the way it is so unstable at times right now.
Yeah.
I'm having clients call me and saying, hey, I want to pull my money out of the stock market and I want to invest in real estate.
Right.
Even if it's a rental,
Absolutely.
An investment property. And it makes sense. When you can make $100,000 a year on a property, you're definitely not making that in the bank.
No.
Maybe on a good year in the stock market.
If you're a trader and you know what you're doing,
right?
I don't know. That's not my specialty.
Not me either.
But especially when it fills two purposes, right? So you're living in a house, and this is what they call, like, on the TikTok and stuff, they call it the TikTok. Did I just call it the TikTok?
The TikTok, you did.
On TikTok, this is what the kids call it, is the house hacking, right? Where you go in, you buy a house at a minimum down payment, you live in it for a couple of years, you turn that into a rental, you get into the next one. Now all of a sudden you're building your wealth exponentially, because long-term real estate always does amazing things in California.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you buy that house, keep it if possible as a rental, and purchase another one 3 or 4 or 5 years down the road. Or if you can't, like as we talked about earlier, use it as a stepping stone. Take that money out and buy that forever home.
Right.
Buy the home that has all your check boxes filled out. And I will say, from a parent's point of view, because we're both mothers, we have so many kids we can't even count between us.
That's a fact, actually. That is a fact.
It's setting a good example for your kids.
Yeah.
It's teaching them to be, as we mentioned before, get in the game. Now is the time. Play. Take that swing. Protect the plate. Build the wealth for yourself.
Right. And so, kind of to like wrap this all up, and, when is the right time to get in the game? Now is always the right time to get in the game. There's really never a bad time, right? It's that famous old saying, when's the best time? Well, it's better than yesterday, kind of thing. And, I just think, I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, if I think where you're going with that is, when is the good time? It's now. It's never a bad time to purchase. But if we're looking at apples to apples in regards to what's gone on the last few years, with the rates being so low versus now where the rates are historically still okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to say low, but they're kind of still historically low. If we're comparing a 6% to a 20%, it's still low.
Well, let's go back to my first house. I bought it in the 8s.
Did you?
Yeah.
And there you go.
Yeah. And I didn't think anything of it at the time, actually. It wasn't even because that's where rates were at.
Yeah.
I mean, most of my career, I've been selling interest rates in the 7s and 8s.
Yeah. So it's a good time. And we've given you all these reasons to buy now.
Yeah. But I think the biggest is just avoiding the competition.
Avoiding the competition.
Everybody says they want to wait until rates drop. Guess how many other people are waiting? What's going to happen when everybody who's waiting gets off the sidelines, jumps in the game, and is going after the same place?
And so I think, to sum it up, we're trying to give you the competitive edge, right? Absolutely. And that is a segue, foreshadowing to our next episode.
Yeah.
The competitive edge and what it takes to win.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
cheers.
Here's to another episode of the Real Estate Play-by-Play. Yay!
You can cut out that. I forgot my train of thought part.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. That's why I just kept on going.
Yeah, totally.
Because even if you,
figure it out.
I mean, if we're talking. Yeah.
Sorry, I got lost here. We were on such a good flow when